Welcome, one and all, to this special Star Wars related video game and discussion of Obi Wan Kenobi. We just finished it, right, guys? You guys watched it?
We all sat together, we held hands on the couch, and we watched the last episode of Obi Wan Kenobi, a Star Wars limited series on Disney Plus.
That is correct. So we're gonna all just do a big discussion on it while I play Star Wars Racer Revenge.
Well, I really thought that Obi Wan Kenobi, the finale of the Disney Plus series, was middling at best. There were certain parts that I enjoyed thoroughly, but I was really hoping we were all going to talk at once over each other since you said. Yeah,
no, I'm gonna let you talk. Like out of our tier listing, do you remember our tiers that we came up with?
I think about my tears every day.
My tears think about me. That's how bad it is. Gosh. Sandawan, maybe?
I could go with that. There was a lot that I did like, but I would probably not put it in Chosen One. I'd probably still put it in, like, Sandawan.
To me, it doesn't go above Padawan, and I honestly feel like that's being generous. But that's, again, my personal feelings. Overall, the show, probably Sandawan. That finale is probably Padawan. It had moments of the most pottery I've ever seen in Star Wars, though. For real.
It's Anakin Skywalker in the lead.
What about you, Eric?
For me, it was the series in general. I really like the stuff I really enjoyed was always the Vader / Obi-Wan Vader stuff. You know, the rest was just kind of getting us to those points.
Yeah.
Which I was alright with. I did like some of the Leia stuff. Like I just kind of liked the actress, and she was fun. But the finale wise, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, obviously, I mostly enjoyed the Obi-Wan Vader fight.
Everybody, before we talk even more, spoilers. The back part, sport car, the little horizontal fin. Shoo! So, the biggest issue that I have out of the finale, I'm going to sum it up like this, okay?
Okay.
Skeletons versus Inquisitor.
Skeletons versus Inquisitor.
What skeletons?
Elaborate more.
Yeah.
Fucking Owen and Beru are able to hold off an Inquisitor, yet in fucking A New Hope, an unknown number of stormtroopers turns them into bird skeletons. I have major problems with this.
My headcanon now is that those skeletons were put there by Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru as like decoys. they're that ready, you know?
To get out.
They're that ready to be like, all right, shit's gonna go down. Throw out the skeletons.
Oh my god! Now I need to see the cut of A New Hope where, like, after they have that dinner scene where Luke is like, "Oh, but I want to go to the academy this year." Fine, you just say on another year, Luke. And Luke storms off, and Beru's like, "Oh, and you're too hard on him," you know. And then Owen gets his own scene of like listfully looking at the twin sons because he also dreams of adventure, but he's got like uncle fatherly duties and the farm and all this. And when Luke disappears, they don't even look for him. It's like 6 hours, and he's like, "God damn it, Beru, I think this is it. we got our chance. Get the shit and go."
Let's go. Go, get your stuff. I don't care. We're leaving.
Burn the bodies.
They just have like Tusken Raider bodies there.
Tyler?
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. Please, if they did that, I would applaud what they have done in Obi-Wan. I would be like, they're going out there, they're living their lives, they're living in retirement, they can kick ass. Cool.
But my new headcanon now.
I don't. Every single thing of Reva on Tatooine is sand, is Jar Jar to me. Like, Get it
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It doesn't belong. It
wasn't
doesn't
very
need to
good.
be. And
I kept getting frustrated when they'd cut away from the Vader Obi-Wan fight to go back to the Reva thing. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, they did one of the most annoying cuts in the world, where is like the bad guy or hero swings back to like attack, and then mid attack they cut away. You know what I mean? They did it.
Well,
with...
especially since she's chasing after Luke, who we know survives. So it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's like we know that he survived. So the only thing I'm thinking the entire time is how are you going to justify this?
Yeah.
And I hate that people are like, well, technically Luke never saw the lightsaber, so that would make sense why he had... It's like, fuck off. You can't... No, he saw out of the corner of his eye, he saw a glow. He saw or heard, he experienced some shit right there that you can't just ignore. Hey, what about that time, Uncle and Aunt, that time that lady came and I had to run and hide and I got knocked out and this old guy came and introduced himself to me and gave me a toy, and that was really weird. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Fuck. But everything else pretty much with Obi-Wan and Vader was great. The stuff that I liked the most about Leia was Obi-Wan and Leia and him connecting with her as like an extension of the relationships he's had in the past. That was like super rewarding for me. I think that young Leia actress did a really good job of like connecting with that part of Leia that I liked in when she's talking with Luke about their mom and what she remembers, and just like,
right.
It's tragic, but it's sweet.
That stuff I did like about Leia's character and how it brought more dynamics to Obi-Wan and how he had to remember her parents and basically tell this kid that, you know, her parents were really special, and she never knew them, but he knew them very well.
No.
I mean, he's
and what
he's
that
really
brought out
underselling it.
I liked her attitude too. She had an attitude on her.
Yeah,
it was fun.
There were a few times where it felt like, okay, young child, watch this performance and then parrot it, but for the most part, I thought she did a really good job.
Well, yeah, she's still a kid actor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was like her acting. I think it was more the writing to me, or the like scenarios that they put her in. But fuck, I don't know that I think the thing that hit hardest for me in this show was when Vader was like, "Hey, chill out, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin. I did."
That was a great line. Good line.
Because and the way that they did it too, with like overlapping James Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen's voice, and being able to see his like face for that performance. Fuck, that was great.
Did you guys see that thing that was going on Twitter? Sorry, Eric. I just wanted to get this one thing out.
Yeah. Yep, go for it.
That was going out on Twitter of like, in when Ahsoka fought Anakin as Darth Vader, she sliced off the right side of his mask, and then in this, he sliced off the left. But then it took Luke to fully uncover Anakin by taking his helmet off to show him the light side.
But that to me is like,
it's just good pottery. I'm just gonna chalk it up to pottery.
Is. I don't even know if that was something that they did intentionally, but if they did, I applaud that.
It's a very good really pottery moment.
I didn't put that together.
Because those were other people that really helped him on his journey, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, but it took his own son to show him the path to the light side.
Right. One of the things too with that fight after he does slice off his bit of his mask there, if you look, pay attention, his eyes are normal, or his eyes normal, right? And I think that's the point too, where he's got like the blue flashing on him. But then when he goes into the whole like you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did bit, his face is bathed in the red of his lightsaber, and his eye has gone like full like Sith yellow and shit.
Yeah, I think I remember noticing his eyes changing a little bit.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Fucking Obi-Wan just pelting him with rocks was fucking great.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Vader's just like, oh, stop it. Ow, ow, stop.
Did you? I just want to get on to other topics though, like that. Like we all loved the dynamics of Obi Wan and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Well,
What did you guys think of Reva as a character?
Didn't really care.
Do you think she mattered?
No.
That's just it. I don't think that, like, the actress did fine. Like, she's fine. It's the character itself was just kind of, she was there so that we had a constant bad guy without overusing Vader, essentially, was the point. You needed a constant pressure on Obi-Wan, and it had to be someone Force sensitive, because that's the only pressure a Jedi would really face. So it's like, you can... She was there to serve a purpose.
Do you think that
Otherwise,
was well done, though?
whatever.
Do you think her purpose was well done? Like, she kind of jumped to a lot of conclusions that were really convenient. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
you're
I
asking
found
if
this-
I
I
think
found
she
this-
had a purpose?
It was not written well. No.
I know that she didn't have a purpose.
she had...
Do you,
Yeah.
do you want to know how I know that?
Yeah, continue.
Is because they went out of their way. They started the show with Reva.
They did.
They kept giving her character development. They had, yes, some interesting things happen with her. And then
Yeah.
when it came to the most crucial point and their character had a true arc and a turning point, she disappeared from the show and was never ever mentioned again or shown. There was no resolution. That character fucking disappeared from the timeline.
Do you think it would
Yeah.
benefit for them to like have a prequel thing before she was
No.
like shown in this? Like have
No.
something.
No.
It would.
No, you have you had the obvious setup of her in the temple during Order 66, which you saw right away. And then you could tell pretty much, okay, that was Reva. And then I get what they were trying to do, but it was, again, just a means to an end, right? It was, like I said, you needed the pressure of somebody like that was Force sensitive on her. I'm really confused why, like, I'm guessing the only reason they really have her take out the Grand Inquisitor is because otherwise, like, obviously he would be the one to track Obi-Wan down, not her. And I guess
Everything-
she had the vendetta that really just didn't make sense, I guess. Like, it
Yeah.
did, but it was just flimsy and just, like, obvious.
Well, it's
yeah,
very
like,
obvious.
a bit obvious, but it makes sense. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
executed
And then,
in the
like you
best
said,
way.
when Papa Vader comes in at the tail end of episode 5, then she quickly gets shunted into a B plot, and then like you said, after that B plot, which again during the whole, supposed to be, I guess, important, her chasing Luke during him fighting Vader, it just felt like a distraction because you're like, this doesn't matter, Luke's gonna be fine, and it becomes annoying. And then the resolution is just Obi-Wan being like, hey, you don't have to do whatever, you can just whatever, and she's like, oh yeah, cool, and then fucks off, and then that's it.
I like that
Yeah.
writing
And then
better.
it's like,
I like your writing, Bradshaw, way better.
yeah,
'Cause that's
yeah,
it.
and
That's
so
it. Like
and
she
that's
doesn't.
it.
She
Gone.
doesn't. He doesn't suggest to her anything, and she's like, maybe it can be open ended, sure, but like you got to do something. You have to do something because if fucking at the end of
you see where every other major character in the series ends up
Mhm.
at the end, except for her. Like,
even
I don't know if they had some idea, like maybe if this character takes off, we can do a fucking TV show about her or something. I don't know.
That's
Eric,
I think
have
what
the
they
fucking
were
feeling
thinking.
that at that montage at the end when they're wrapping up everybody, that there was
Yeah.
going to be a little, maybe 30-second little spot of her like on some planet in a hood, and
Yep.
somebody like bumps her, and she just like turns, and for a second you're like, oh, is she gonna do some shit? And then she just keeps going on her way and like puts her hood back up and keeps going in the crowd.
Or you
and then they
find
cut
out
that
she-
when people had a negative reaction to her.
Yeah, or they have, or she, like, to me, what would have been pottery, I guess, as close as you can get to pottery with that character, is have her actually join the path or whatever. You know what I mean? Like helping that Jedi Underground Railroad situation, you know?
Or like, like maybe she's on a planet and she sees somebody force sensitive in trouble, and she doesn't even like. We don't know that they don't go out of their way to be like she is joining the path. She just steps up to help them,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh, okay, yep, yeah, I get it. But nothing.
Do you think that she?
But they don't.
I don't know if you realize this or like maybe thought of this, Wilson, but she was pretty parallel to the second sister from Fallen Order.
Yeah.
To me, like her whole story was the second sister story.
Mm-hmm. There was nothing original about it. It was like, okay, I've seen this before,
and it
this
was
just,
done better. It was
Trilla.
done. It was done way better with Trilla because she was like tortured, and you can see that in her when they do like that flashback. Like Seer had to watch her Padawan be tortured in front of her and turn like to a darker version. But
I think that was one thing that we were maybe missing from this show was like,
yeah,
if you want to have Reva incorporate her former master, or even if her former master is dead, focus on them more and their relationship with their Padawan, with the other Jedi around them, so that we understand some more context about when they're brought up or when their past, when her past is affecting her, we know how she feels about shit.
Right.
Or you could have like scenes where like maybe her master ends up in that fucking Hall of Dead Jedi at where the Inquisitors hang out, and like you see her like pondering in front of that person, like just something to add some sort of depth to the character outside of I was there when Anakin fucking did that, and then now I'm a fucking Inquisitor, I guess.
I do think it would have been like, I don't necessarily want her character to die, but it certainly would have been also sort of poetic for her to die, maybe just from her wounds that were inflicted. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to join the younglings. I've done what I can to put their souls to rest, and now I will join them in the Force, you know?
At least get an arm cut off or something.
Yeah.
Right. Like having her die saving like Luke or Leia or some shit would have been.
Yeah, because maybe she's going to strike Luke, and then some natural threat of Tatooine pops out and is going to attack both of them or just him, and she saves him, ends up saving him just by reflex, and then she's like, wait, why did I do that? Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. They
didn't give her a lot.
Her as an actress, I thought she did a great job. Don't spin. Don't.
It's just
spin
the story
Swift.
didn't.
Yeah.
It's just the story didn't serve well. There was a thing I saw where I don't know if it was the showrunner or the head writer, what it was, but he was talking about how when he pitched Obi Wan, it was initially as like a trilogy of movies.
It would have been
basically
fine as a single movie. This could have been just a movie to me.
And
this
was this was movie one essentially in his initial idea.
Man.
His idea was how did Obi-Wan get from where he is to the point where like he like kind of instinctually like sacrifices himself in episode 4, you know?
Right.
Like he like Obi-Wan, as you meet him, has been through so much, he made sure to survive to fucking whatever. Like what gets him to the point where he is kind of accepts. It's a story of him accepting his mortality and like whatever. And basically like this would have been like part 1 essentially of it. Part 2, he said, like the only thing he really said about it would have been like, you know, him talking with Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon kind of helping him realize, you know, his mortality and what he has to do, whatever. And then part 3 he never really talks about. The way he says it, part 3 is almost just where he ends up in episode 4. But so I mean, as he said, if they do a season 2 and he's involved, that's kind of where he had planned to take it. But I don't think they need to do a season 2, really. But
I don't think that they plan to, since the finale specifically said in the description, like, this limited series finale.
But they've done that before, too. Like, Loki was supposed to be a limited series.
Yeah, but it's so transparent and disingenuous to just...
Yeah, it's one of those things. We'll call it a limited series, so that if we end up only doing one, it's not going to look like we planned to do more and this was a failure, right?
Yeah, it doesn't build the expectations, and then it flops, and then they're kind of obligated to still do it, or maybe contractually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless, I'm glad that it happened, because there were enough moments for me to look back and be like, fuck, I'm glad that I saw that. Because the one thing that I really take away, like I said, is that line from Anakin, because it always did kind of rub me the wrong way if it was just like, oh, from a certain point of view. It's like, well, motherfucker, what do you mean?
Yeah, they give it, they make it make sense now. They did that a few times in the series where they kind of did little retconny things to make certain things that were plot holes or like not seem right in episode 4 end up actually making sense.
I never thought it was a plot hole. It never bugged me really. It was always just like, I'm curious to see more context. I'm curious.
Yeah. So now it is.
And
you got confirmation. Vader
did
from
kill
his father, right?
That's he's giving the same explanation. We're just seeing a different point of view, and it's great.
And the other thing too is you get the origin of Obi calling him Darth, right?
Yeah, because Anakin, he's accepted that Anakin truly is dead.
Yep, and because like people point out, because this was obviously in A New Hope, they didn't have the whole Sith lore and everything, and that Darth was a title and whatever. So it's just like, so Obi says it like it's his first name or something like that, Yeah,
Vader,
so it's like,
Darth.
but you get that kind of origin of it here, where he's just like, after that happens, he just says something. What is it? See you later, Darth, or some shit like that, and you're like,
see you later, Darth.
See you later, Darth.
He rips a kickflip on his skateboard and fucking shreds out of there.
Puts out his cigarette in his face.
Yeah,
flicks it at his face and just like,
later.
See you later, Darth.
See you later, Darth. But like, you know what I mean? Like he does that. So it's like, oh, there's that. Cool.
Yeah, it is what it is. Whatever.
Yeah, but the things I wanted to see in Obi Wan that they showed, I enjoyed. Is basically, so I wanted to see Vader and Vader being cool.
Yep.
Check. I wanted to see a like impactful meetings of Obi Wan and Vader. Fucking check.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to see a Sheevy boy, and I saw a Sheevy boy.
it would have been nice to get a little bit more of like Hayden as Vader with the mask off.
Right.
Like maybe him. When you remember in Empire where he's in his little chair that it puts the helmet on him.
Yeah.
Maybe we get to see him where he's alone, like sitting in that thing and it's closed, but his helmet's off.
Yeah.
And he's just, oh shit, fucking Obi-Wan.
Yeah, they missed a lot of opportunities, in my opinion, and what I would like to see. They missed some opportunities to do more backstory of them being friends, because they didn't show a lot of that in the movies. It wasn't. They were separated. They just said it like, hey, remember that time when I rescued you from that thing? And they're like, yeah, good times.
I want to
show them.
In the TV show, like, is what I'm saying. It's like there's more of that.
Yeah,
but I wanted to see them, like Hayden and Ewan be friends.
I know what you mean.
Like, people wanted to see that dynamic, like show it.
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't do the supplemental stuff. They just watch the movies and the other things that are live action.
To me,
that's when you're not a real nerd and you don't deserve Star Wars. Then
no, you definitely see it in Clone Wars, but I wanted to see Hayden.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
And a lot of people did, I think.
Can I give you guys my lukewarm, no pun intended, take right now?
Pun intended for me.
I have always seen, or I guess I should say, I've never seen Anakin and Obi-Wan as friends.
Okay.
Never.
Right.
I have all, like, because me personally, before I had kids, I always felt like a little bit weird around kids, where I'm like, I don't really know like exactly how to interact with you on your level.
You're not my friend. Get out of here, kid.
And I don't know how to be your friend at the same time.
Right.
And I always got that read from Anakin and Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace, where they just pick up this random ass kid, and Qui-Gon brings him back to the ship, and Obi-Wan's just like, "Oh,
Another
okay,
pathetic life form.
yeah, is this a new?"
That's part of it. They're forced together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No pun intended.
Well, they're brothers, no pun intended.
No, I
Yeah.
never saw that either. It's like Obi-Wan doesn't know how to treat this
Well,
fucking
it's all
kid
stuff
in any
that
degree.
stuff that plays out between, right?
It's
Like,
stuff
all the
we
stuff
need
that
to see. We need
The
to
relationship is formed between movies, right?
Anakin needs a friend. He needs a father
Yeah.
figure, and he needs a teacher.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is in
You do get-
the role to be all those things, but he doesn't know how to be any of them. He tries to be a teacher,
No.
but since he's failing at at least 2 out of the 3 at all times, it's just not good. And so I've always seen their relationship as just this awkward, fucking weird thing that neither of them knows how to operate.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it too is like Anakin was quote unquote too old, right?
Yeah.
And then Obi, I don't think, like, even though he was quote unquote ready for the trials, I don't think he was ready for the responsibility yet.
Yeah.
And so it was weird.
It was
And
just a
I've
personal
actually
promise to
gone back-
Qui-Gon. He was just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah, I'll
He
train
foisted
him.
upon him.
I
He didn't
guess.
want it.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And so as it went on, I think he became jaded or just resentful of I got stuck with this responsibility of this fucking kid that I don't know how to handle.
Yeah.
He's more powerful than me. I can't rein him
Yeah.
in.
I decided to go back and watch the prequels again after Obi-Wan.
Nice.
And I watched episode 1 and I watched episode 2. Episode 2, there's parts where fucking whiny teenage rage Anakin is venting to Padme, where he's just like, Obi-Wan's like a father to me. He's the closest thing I have to a father. And I was just like, it's weird considering it morphs into a brother relationship.
Well, even Obi-Wan says you're my brother, Anakin. And it was like, wait.
Yeah.
You're my brother, Anakin. But he's not. He's been your subordinate his entire life.
Your ward. It's
Right.
Yeah. He has to do what you say and live by these weird ass rules.
Jesus Christ does the Anakin Padme stuff really uncomfortable in episode 2.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. The one thing I know is this is how long it's been. I haven't watched them since before the re-Lucasing of all the movies. That last Lucasing. So when I was watching it. Yeah, so I was caught off guard at watching episode 1 because they had CG Yoda instead of puppet Yoda.
Oh man.
So I was like, oh shit. But so now basically I hit episode 2 and then I finished it. And then came the quandary of because the purpose of it is to kind of, my watch through is to do mostly just the Vader stuff and the Anakin Vader stuff. And after I hit episode 2, finished episode 2, was like, shit, do I just go right into episode 3? Or my nerd in me feels like I have to do Clone Wars again.
Oh gosh.
Which in theory, part of it that I'm down for is the fact that it'll put enough time between finishing Obi-Wan and because I will, after I finish episode 3, then I will go back to Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah.
So putting that much space between helps it be more fresh for me instead of, I just watched this shit, But it is just an undertaking. I saw Disney Plus has an essential Clone Wars episodes thing. But then part of me is but what if some episodes I consider essential aren't in there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's and then the quandary then becomes, once I get to season 7, then how do I do that? because it takes place concurrently with episode 3, you know? So, like, my thought was to watch season 7 until Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan meet up, and then they fuck off to go do the Chancellor shit at the beginning of episode 3. So watch till there, then do episode 3, and then go back, and then watch the rest of season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yeah, Eric, we know you're a big nerd, okay?
Hey, Eric.
Yeah,
I know you're on a roll right now, but there's a character in this game called Shrivel Bertrand.
good. So then I'd do episode 3, and then obviously then I'd have to do Rebels.
That's the
Half
big
and then-
nerd in you.
Yeah, because it's
Obligated.
Vader's in there.
Yeah.
and there's
Contractually.
essential Ahsoka. There's essential Ahsoka building to the Vader stuff, so it's like gotta do that. And then Rogue One, and then I'd end it probably with the OG trilogy.
But what necessitates, like, okay, now I have to watch this because this, you know, it builds more on
I guess-
Salacious Crumb and
Yeah.
little.
Well,
little
it's mainly the through line being Vader, right?
Vader.
Yeah.
You want to get the most out of Vader that you can
yeah.
Yeah,
glean,
yeah.
you know?
I contemplated going through everything, like completed the Luke stuff, but I'm like, nah. Like I can just stop at original trilogy, but because I could go down a million rabbit holes. Because also in that through line would be all the Boba stuff, right? Episode 2 through Clone Wars until Book of Boba Fett. So then I'd have to do Mando too, which would also have Luke. So it's just like no, I'm gonna stick to Vader, and then I mean it's still a lot of shit because it's 2 full fucking animated series, but
You're gonna have to stop at some point. Disney can only get so erect.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
know, right?
Tyler,
I'd probably skip Bad Batch because it's got nothing to do with Vader.
by
Fuck up, Eric.
Huh?
I want. This is something that I never thought about before, Tyler, and I think you're the only other one in the room right now to be specifically qualified to think about this.
Okay.
Think about the fucking thought process that must have gone through Anakin's head when he found out that he was going to be a father.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause you and I have gone through that experience, and we have a very different frame of reference for what fatherhood and childhood and like all that is compared to Anakin.
Well, yeah, because his childhood was horrible, and we don't have his perspective on like what it was like growing up as like a slave.
His conception.
Well, yeah, even that, even
He
his
hears
conception.
Padme's pregnant, and he's like, "Is he like, okay, who did it, or
Yeah,
is this immaculate conception?" Like,
Yeah, do they have sex ed in the Jedi Temple?
yeah, like, and then, gosh, yeah, all the shit with his mom and all that. Like, oh, I fucking murdered women and children when I had to watch my own parent die in my arms.
that's hot.
Well, yeah, think about his obsession with controlling everything too,
Yeah,
right?
Yes, and what the
He wants
Jedi.
to, I think that's part of it is because he had no control over his life when he was young, right? Because he was a
Yeah.
slave.
Exactly.
And he couldn't protect the people he wanted to protect. So now he has all this power,
man.
and he
And
can,
that's the thing
in
that
his
the-
mind,
that's
control
the-
things.
What the Jedi
He
wanted
wants
to teach.
to do that.
The Jedi
So much
taught him not to attach himself to people's like
because
problems.
they're being controlling of his like
Emotions.
options to feel emotions. So
They
he's
were
learning
scared
it
of
from
him.
them.
They were scared of Anakin. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
hold
yeah.
off, I'm gonna hold off on continuing this because I just wanted to open up my. Can you guys see my page here?
Page.
You might not be able to
I've
see
just
it.
seen the video game.
Okay,
No, I don't shoot page.
I wrote down some thoughts and things that came to mind when I was watching Obi-Wan and like what kind of like my philosophy came about with Anakin and the parallels of how Obi-Wan was kind of coming to grips with the Jedi teachings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you guys are talking, I'm going to talk more about the show now. When Obi-Wan was at his lowest point fighting Vader, and he was being buried alive, right, under rocks,
Yep.
and they keep him underground, and Vader then decides to, walk away. and Obi, he has those constant voices that are like blasting in his head.
Vader had the fucking high ground, dude.
I know. Let me finish you. So he had those voices that were, in his head, showing him that he failed to teach Anakin, and like Anakin, turning to the dark side. It was all negative things, and like he just felt burdened by all those fears that were like, oh, this is weighing on me so much. But then he started realizing he finds goodness in Anakin by recalling the children he's had, and remembers moments of his time with Leia, right? Like all those moments that he's talking to Leia about his dad or her dad, and then seeing Luke just be a boy and pretending to pod race. Like he has those visual, like you see in his head, those are the visions he's having when he's under these rocks. And that gives him the courage or like the strength to throw all the rubble off of him, and then he pieces out of the pit, right? That moment completely broke my, Obi-Wan's relationship to the old Jedi teachings, because they teach you not to have attachments. But conversely, or, this gave him more power. It gave him the strength to shove the rocks off. And like having those attachments, like having love for another individual, like he does for Leia, and like her well-being, was a great like character moment for me of understanding Obi-Wan, because then he's giving Qui-Gon more of a stake in his teaching, because Qui-Gon, if he would just like how he talks in the Force or the Phantom Menace, like if you would just listen to the Jedi Council, you would be a master too. And Qui-Gon's basically like, fuck that noise. I'm going to do what I want. They teach me not to have attachments, but I find that having attachments gives me more strength in the Force and understanding it. And that's where, there's that gray area, like where the Jedi's teaching attachment leads to all these things of like fear and loss of loved ones.
Where Obi finds the gray. Yeah.
But Qui-Gon, had some truth to that. And
oh my gosh, I hate to go down this path, but like, I mean, everything that you're saying, like Obi-Wan, like Qui-Gon had so many attachments, and he felt love for so many aspects of life and so many things. That's probably what gave him more of a connection to the living Force, which allowed him to live on. Yeah. And then Obi-Wan, when he is having trouble struggling to even move that little thing, when he starts to feel love and attachment for Leia and it reigniting these positive feelings for Padme and people in his past, he's able to do it more. And then at the very end, he like fully gives into that, and he's like, fuck, I feel hope. I feel these kids are inspiring me. Because he was feeling fear and anger and all these things throughout the show, meeting him, like what Yoda was saying. And he had that dark moment of being like, no, Reva, I'm not bringing him to me. Like,
right. No,
like,
you're bringing up a good point, because then in New Hope, when he finally gets these two kids together, when he has Luke and Leia reunited and he sees them get on the Millennium Falcon, he looks and he's like, I did it. I accomplished my mission.
Everything's going to be okay.
And he's like, he's at peace. He's like, I'm fine dying here. Like I see the loved ones now escape. I'm good.
I always took his line of like, I'll be more powerful than you can possibly imagine, that Obi-Wan's not talking about himself. He's talking about Luke.
Right.
He's saying, like, through me via proxy, when you strike me down, I will join the Force, and through that, I'll be able to help Luke, and he will continue his journey. And like the forces of good, I will be more powerful than you can possibly imagine, because you've just furthered our progression.
Exactly.
When it's part of the thing, too, like with the whole thing, it's where we meet Obi, he's depressed and whatever. It's that because of things that happened in the past. He's stuck in the past, right? And then when he's in that moment, that dire moment, with the rocks, he lets go of the depressing past and fully embraces the hopeful future, right? It's done with the dire, this is the bad all the bad that's happened, not dwelling on it anymore. He sees that there's a path forward and that it could be good, and that's kind of what helps bring him out of what he's in that moment.
This is the part where I was like, I hate to say this, but maybe the sequel trilogy. Okay, hear me out. That the sequel trilogy, maybe unknowingly, kind of expounded upon all these stuff that we're saying. Because Rey, beginning of the movie, like beginning of the trilogy, she's feeling probably like despondent and hopeless and purposeless and depressed and stuff. And as she was never ever taught, don't have attachments, don't love. She was only ever taught, oh, you have the Force, this is how it works. So her feeling attachments, her feeling love and all these positive emotions allows her to do things that nobody else did, like Force healing and like literally bringing people back from the dead.
And it again takes her out of her dwelling in her present/past of being alone on this whatever to this more hopeful future where she has people around her that care about her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only that, but the one time that she does like do a dark side power is when she uses the lightning. She's getting angry in that moment. She's like, no, I'm tug of war. I want to win this fight. Grr. And then she uses her lightning. But fucking even at the end of the movie, she's like, oh, I've become a powerful Jedi because of my attachments and my love, and I am not only a powerful Jedi, I am all the Jedi. I am connected to every single Jedi that's ever lived in the Force.
Yep.
I don't think that they ever did any of that on purpose, but like we are talking about this topic and they're hitting these notes. So I hate to give them credit for it, but it is something to note.
Right. And yeah, it makes me think too, since I did just watch episode 2, there's a whole thing of Anakin finding a reason why his attachment to Padme is okay. Like, there's a weird thing where she's like, aren't you supposed to, not love? You're not supposed to fall in love or whatever. And he comes up, he rationalizes in his head when he's just like, and says to her, he's like, well, I mean, no, love isn't forbidden. It's attachments that are forbidden. But what I think of is
I know you're
big
trying to
thing
get
with the Jedi is compassion,
the quote out,
which is unconditional love. So therefore, love is like the Jedi's main thing or whatever. And it's just like, you're so close to hitting on it, Anakin, but it's through your warped.
You're so close, buddy. You almost had it.
I think
but it's through your warped thing of wanting to have it all, right? So
this is probably like stupid obvious to say, but I feel like if Anakin like didn't have Palpatine's influence, or if maybe Mace Windu was successful in that one swift movement to be like, hey, got you, you're the Chancellor, you're now under our control,
right,
and was able to like get Anakin out at that moment. I do think that if Anakin was able to like continue on with Padme and they had their kids, that him having his kids in his life and like he's had no purpose. He's been enlisted into the Jedi. He's been told you are the chosen one. And his entire life has basically been like, okay, well, I'm doing what people tell me to do. And when he has kids, he's like, this is something for me to live for. This is something for me to feel passion and attachment and love. And he probably would have been fucking the best Jedi ever.
Can I quick talk about my I always like discussing the chosen one concept of Anakin. I'm gonna pause this quick. I wrote it out, but I wanted to kind of recycle my ideas of like how I rationalize what the chosen one prophecy is about, and maybe you guys can, you've derived the same idea and the same thought process, but I initially thought when they say to him, when they're, kind of sizing him up, I think they were all sensing that he was scared, right? Because he was, what did he say? Like when he was being interviewed by all the Jedi Council, like, fear we see in you or something like that. And your thoughts dwell on your mom. And he's like, yeah, I miss her. She's, gone. And I can't be with her. So they're all sensing uneasiness to him, that they could maybe speculate on where his career or his path would go if they did teach him. That's why they decided, like, no, we're not going to teach him. And then that's when Qui-Gon spoke up. He's like, whoa, you guys understand that he is a chosen one. And they're like, we're not going to train him. We're like, this is, he might be, because the chosen one he may be, but we can't train this kid because his path is uncertain, or it's unclear. So initially they were scared, but my opinion on the way the prophecy that I interpret it is that the idea for the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, like, that's the main prophecy, right?
Right.
Is like the one, or the chosen one, was meant to bring balance to the Force.
Yep.
To do that, you have to look at what they introduced in that rule of two in the Phantom Menace, like what that means, like what the rule of two is, like why is it only two, like why is it like all these other Jedi can, you know, follow the path of the light, but there's only two Sith that, you know, take all the power for themselves. So the chosen one's prophecy, I think, is that they were meant to fall to the dark side. Like, the prophecy was meant for them to become one of the two in that rule of two. And that meant for Anakin to be killed in a weird way by Vader. And for, you know, him to then, when he sees, you know, his son being tortured by the other one of the two, he then throws Sheev, and then by doing that, you know, is destroying those components that make Vader alive.
Mm-hmm.
But then it took his son to unmask the true Anakin. So, like, by doing that selfless act, by throwing Sheev and protecting his son, he in turn killed both of the two himself. Mm-hmm. But because he technically killed Vader and came back to the light side as Anakin then actually fulfilled the prophecy.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, and my interpretation has always been largely the same.
Okay.
Because, like you said, for balance to happen, you have to have both. It's not one eliminating the other. It's not the light side getting rid of the dark side. It's both. So there'd have to be, like, for the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, there'd have to be some sort of intermingling between the two. Like, they'd have to walk a path that goes on both sides to be able to bring balance. And I always took it as more of like, oh, you are not directly going to be responsible for bringing balance, but you are going to be the linchpin that allows for the balance to be brought. Like, what you do, Anakin, by living on as Vader, killing the Emperor, taking out Vader, redeeming yourself as Anakin, and, like, all of your actions as Vader are going to allow for your son and your daughter to move on and, like, bring balance to the Force, where, yes, the dark side is not going to be, like, present. Like, there's not going to be, like, active Sith, but it's still around, obviously. But I don't know.
Well, if you think about it, too, Luke is more of a gray Jedi, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, what's the true balance there is gray, right? It's not all light, all dark. It's in the middle, right?
I think if you carried that on into the sequels without Snoke and without Sheev returning, that could have been super interesting.
Yeah, because I still don't understand
Ben falls
why
to the dark side, but that's like
Rey
the
is
point.
now another chosen one. It's like, I was chosen one, but now so are you.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. The balance, like, hey, Force, yeah, it was in balance. It's out of balance again. Or, like, balance is now something new or different because the Force changes and the universe changes. And it's not about, like, we got to have both light and dark. It's like, no, we need to have people on the gray side too. Like, we got to have people who are in between.
That's why my kind of opinion on, the rule of two and like how that meant for the chosen one to fall to the dark side doesn't fit with Rey's being the chosen one. But I mean, that's just my take. I don't see her as a chosen one.
That's never brought up once. Why is that? Is that just a fan theory that she's the chosen one? Because that's all that it is. No, that's never stated in the movies ever.
Yeah, it is.
When?
In like the Rise of Skywalker, they say in a line, "I was once the chosen one, and now so are you." Anakin basically says that to her.
Oh my fucking god! That doesn't count. That does not count.
It's said in the movie. It's like she is the chosen one. Also,
yeah. You know what else is said in the movie? Like somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
Or
you know what also said in the movie?
To many abilities that some would consider unnatural. Those are not explanations. Those are just things that are being said. Like, yeah, we don't know how it happened here.
That's what I don't think she was. Like, that's my thing. That's what I'm getting at.
No.
It's like,
she wasn't.
She never was to me because she doesn't fit my perceived idea of what the chosen one means, of them having to fall to the dark side to claim chosen one and all that I said, but
it means so little in the movie that to me it didn't happen.
There, you know what else was said in that movie? Do you have two boyfriends?
You got a boyfriend? You got a boyfriend?
Do you have a boyfriend?
Do you have a cute boyfriend? Oh, dear.
I mean, come on now. You're going to hit me with that sick little Finn line. I was so excited. For Finn.
I was hoping for a lot.
Oh my god.
I was like, this could have been cool.
We get, like, they're doing a conscription storyline with the stormtroopers. That's fucking cool. They're doing, like, defection. That's cool. Oh, somebody who's, like, is he even force sensitive? Maybe, is he going to, like... I'm excited for him to maybe not even become a Jedi, but just like do something.
I'm on the spectrum.
Oh,
Ray, I have something important I need to tell you, but I will never say it on the film.
And it was supposed to be that he was force sensitive. That's what he was supposed to tell her.
I know that's what he was supposed to.
I'm just like you.
A lot of stuff was supposed to happen in history, but
coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know what they said in that movie? Do you know what they said? They actually did. They didn't say anything.
That's what they said. They said, "Hey."
They'd rather say, "Hey," instead of, I'm on the spectrum.
That's the best quote from that movie.
It is.
They'd rather have Carrie Russell in a helmet, run around and shoot a gun.
Okay, you know what? The one fucking thing that Obi Wan Kenobi did not explain that I actually genuinely want them to explain is why in A New Hope does Obi Wan say, "Don't seem to remember owning a droid"? Like
you do. You had R5. You had R5. Fucking, shut up. Or no, he had R4. I forget.
Well, I'm pretty sure R2 was his buddy, like his companion.
Nope. He's Anakin's.
He was Anakin's.
Okay, but what about Lola?
But in the movie,
that's Leia's.
He does.
Yeah, but she gives Lola to him.
In Revenge of the Sith, he tells R2 to shut down the elevators or get the elevators operating again. He must just be going senile, where he doesn't remember R2 and giving him orders.
It doesn't even matter if he fucking. I'm not saying that he owned the pink slip and that's what matters. I'm saying he spent an inordinate amount of time, one-on-one with this droid specifically.
He knows him by name.
Remember,
he knows him by name.
Even if he didn't own it, he'd be like, "Oh fuck, that R2."
Hey, dude, R2, what's up, dude?
Hey, maybe he didn't believe in droid ownership, dude. Maybe he saw them as sentient beings.
That is not the point, Eric.
He would have known his name.
The point is that I don't recognize this droid to any degree because we have no prior history together. Is what he was saying, and.
Continuity, just a weird continuity flub.
Yeah, but it would have been one little interesting and kind of funny thing if it was like, "Oh, you actually explained that. Cool."
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care honestly, but if it would have happened, that would have been real cool.
That would have been real cool. I totally agree with you.
I'd have liked that.
I would have liked that. I would have given me a right old chuckle.
That give me a little tickle.
Ooh, go right down my leg. Anything else you guys want to talk about with the Obi-Wan series? Like overall, it's a
It was
Padawan. It's
nice
Padawan.
nice having Ewan back.
Yeah, that was
It
great.
was nice seeing him in the character.
Mhm.
It was nice getting him and Hayden back together.
Mhm.
The Vader and Obi-Wan stuff was tight. Everything else was just kind of moving parts to get us to those moments.
Yeah.
But so the parts that really mattered in Obi-Wan, I enjoyed. The other stuff was kind of whatever.
I'm with you. I'm okay with putting it in like a Sandawan or Padawan. Nothing above.
Did- Can
The
you
Leia
guys,
stuff was nice. The Leia character was nice.
can you
The
Eh.
clarify
Vader stuff
something?
was tight. That's all.
I have nitpicks about her character, like just
Oh yeah.
not being scared when they're being barraged by Vader's ship. And she's like, I'm all right. She's just no fear whatsoever. Like, okay, I don't believe
But
it.
hey, look at her in the original movies though.
I
She's
mean, I
older.
kind of
She's
vibe,
older.
like-
She's
She didn't give a
but
shit about Vader in her face.
at
She was
least
just like, whatever,
show
fuck
at
you.
least show some emotion, like of uncertainty. Like, oh no, there's a bad guy attacking us. You know, she's a kid still.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I do. She in the past like 3 days, she has been actively shot at and like on the run. So maybe she's like riding some adrenaline high, or like in that moment a little bit.
Yeah,
more
she hasn't been able to properly process it yet.
able to keep her cool because she's still in that mode of like, all right, we're good. If we're still like surviving, I'm doing this adventuring thing. We're all good.
And she does show fear and concern over Obi-Wan, right? She does show that.
Well, and she
It's
also
just when it comes to
acts
when
like
it comes
that
to
kid from the
stuff
ring.
dealing with her, when it comes to stuff dealing with her and her safety, she doesn't really care. But when
I
it came to like Obi-Wan, she was concerned.
I have more issues with like again her direct interactions with Riva and like some of that stuff where it's like you really it just muddies stuff about why don't these characters remember or react to anything where it's like, oh, this is similar to when this happened before.
Right. Yeah, because they're not like it'd be different if they were younger, right?
Yeah.
But like by 10, like you can form concrete memories of stuff. So it's like if this happened when she was 5 or something, maybe.
Yeah.
But like 10, like they'd remember that shit. But I mean,
remember-
like she is seemingly familiar with the person of Obi-Wan or Ben in A New Hope to a degree. But but not like, oh yeah, this dude that I spent a lot of time with.
Well,
you know.
they have the line in there that their explanation is yes, they absolutely know each other and they have this exact history we've just shown you in the TV show, but they're pretending like they don't know each other. That's what they tell us.
And they never really interact.
No, yeah, that's the thing. In A New Hope is they never actually cross paths.
That's
Once
true.
they're
By
on
the
Death
time
Star,
you
you see them from a distance, but like,
Yep, and then he dies. So
Yeah.
it's like so you could, I guess, have that because she never actually sees him.
but they do go out of their way in this to be like, no, they do definitely, absolutely know each other, and they had little girl and Ewan McGregor adventures.
Because what does she say when they bring up Obi-Wan or Ben in A New Hope?
Ben Kenobi.
Well, he's
He's
in the
here?
recording. She says like, General Kenobi, you served my father in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing that the next time that like she directly
She does know he's called Ben Kenobi, right?
she just calls him Obi-Wan, but like she calls him that in the recording. They rescue her, and then they get on the Falcon. And I think the very next time that she like references him is when she's putting the blanket on Luke's shoulders, and she's just like, "I'm sorry" or something like that.
No, she
Yeah.
does. She
I don't
does
think
say
she
it
really
like,
brings
"Hey,
him up
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you. I came with Ben Kenobi."
Yeah, I was brought here by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and she's like, "Oh, the General Obi-Wan Kenobi that I sent the message to." She doesn't really talk about.
She says like, "He's here."
something like that.
Yeah, I remember her saying that. Like, Ben Kenobi, he's here.
Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that.
I think, yeah, I don't
So
know.
if she recognizes it, because if she says it as Ben Kenobi, that means she knows of his alias.
Because that's all Luke knows him by. So he would,
Yeah, because
he would
I
say
think
like,
it is Luke that feeds her the name and says, "I'm here with Ben Kenobi." So obviously, if they have history and she knows that nom de plume, she would answer back and say, "Oh, Ben, yeah."
Yeah.
well,
Because
she
she
says
doesn't say
Ben.
she doesn't
She
say
says-
Ben. Is that
Oh,
is he related to Obi Wan, or is
She
he?
doesn't
'cause
say,
you know
"Oh,
what
do
I
you
mean?
mean Obi Wan?" or anything.
Yeah.
Like that.
She just acknowledges Ben, and it's like, oh,
Can I tell you guys? I remember it from a school book fair getting a like 50, maybe 35-page book that was about young Luke and young Leia happenstance meeting and getting stranded alien style on a spaceship.
alien style.
And then, yeah, because they like Leia's on some big freighter or something in space. It gets attacked, and Luke just so happens to be in a different spaceship that they somehow cross paths, end up on the same spaceship. They get abandoned on the spaceship. They're on there alone together, and then Vader's like appearing through the Force to them, or like is actually on the ship, and it's a little bit spooky, and it's supposed to be like a little adventure they have together, and then they split ways. And even reading it as a child, I was like, well, clearly this couldn't happen because they don't know each other. But back then it was like, well, it's just a book for kids. They're not, we don't have to worry about them being like, we're going to answer these. We're going to fucking make this even more complicated, you sons of bitches.
Does little Leia call him Ben at any point?
Well, yeah.
I think
I think she
Yeah.
only calls him Ben. She never calls him Obi, right?
No, she calls him both, I'm pretty sure.
a little bit both. Yeah.
She calls him like Obi Wan when they're not like around people that they have to pretend, and then
Yeah, because she's smart.
when they have to be
She's so
incognito, she
smart.
calls him Ben.
Such a smart kid.
Yeah.
I think is the case. I don't know.
She says goodbye, Ben, or something when they like leave on Alderaan, right?
Yeah.
Bye,
I don't
Ben.
remember. Bye, Ben.
See you later, kid. All right. Well, I think that's all we can really talk about, right? This show, we've
I don't have anything more
we
to say.
suffocated this show, right?
I could joke all day about it, but for serious thoughts, I have no more to say.
Well, those are
Yeah.
our serious, silly, and all-around thoughts of the show.
Star Wars thoughts
And
from the Fargonauts.
yeah, hope we can talk about other Star Wars media coming up in the future, and who knows what's around the corner.
The rights to this so that they could turn it into a thing that just happens now.
Churning.
It's
It's
just
just
a thing that
churning
happens.
and
Just
burning,
on the
dude.
calendar.
Yep.
Yep, they're gonna drive it into the ground, and we're
It
gonna
allows
be
us to
there.
do
Any given
Super
time.
Summer Star Wars forever.
At any given time, there are 6 Disney Plus shows.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are like 2 on the air, 2 cooking, and 2 that are like,
Built-in break for if a movie comes out.
mm-hmm. And then we just continue on until Heat Death of the Universe.
Hell yeah, dude.
Let's just end it there. Heat death.
Well, the world's greatest magician, Eric Broadshow, signing off.
With a
See?
not with a bang.
I
but
said
with
that
a,
in Wilson's voice.
with a whimper.
Because I'm the world's greatest
Good
magician.
job. Good job.
Wow, how'd that happen? You can really throw your voice and make it sound like
I don't know what
Wilson.
just happened to me. All right. Happy Star Wars. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Amen. Amen.
Forever
amen,
and ever.
Amen. Amen.
And until Yoda do we part.
It's just every Catholic that ever watched Star Wars and heard "May the Force be with you" just in their head plays "and also with you."
But now it's in with your Force Ghost.
Yeah, with your spirit, with your Force ghost.
With your Force Ghost.
Let's slow down.
Bye bye.